Hi, this is Robert Clintonbeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. We're going to take 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders and business owners to provide you with some value to help you scale your business, become a better leader, and push yourself out of your comfort zone into something which is going to stretch you. We really hope you enjoy these shows, and we really encourage you to like and share with your friends and network, which is only going to help us get a wider audience and improve our industry. I'm super excited to announce that in 2023, we're going to be announcing new partnerships, digital courses, some rebranding, and your opportunity to be coached by one of our many industry leaders, experts, or coaches. Cheers, everyone. Hi, this is Robert Clintonbeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm really excited today to be joined by good friend Bryan Mours. Bryan, thank you for joining me on the podcast today.
Absolutely, Robert. Happy to join you. Love what you're doing there at Wilson 360, and just excited to be on the show here today.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking for a long time, and finally managed to persuade you to come onto the show. And I mean, obviously I know your background, but we have, thousands of listeners from all over the world, and I'd love you just to talk through your background and what your industry experience is.
Yeah. I've been around for a long time, and in the industry most of my career. I started off at a very young age owning. Partnering with another gentleman, we started our own company. So I've always had that entrepreneur mindset. Worked in the industry, worked on both sides of the table. I used to sell landscape products for a time, and it was funny because it was during that time that I really kind of got this consulting bug, because when you're selling new young landscapers products, whether it be chemicals or fertilizers or mowers, you're also teaching them about their business and maybe the things they need to think about when they're running their business. So that's kind of when I got a little bit of the consulting bug. But back in 2000, I was working at a company, and we brought on a production management software system into that company. And to run our business, and we were probably a little bit cutting edge with bringing it into the landscape business. Nobody was doing that. The only one that was really doing that was the larger companies that were building their own softwares. We brought that product into our company, and I really saw the importance of technology and software in the landscape space, because it really opened my eyes to how we were performing and how well we could, or how we could make changes to perform better. And so that's when I got my little introduction to technology. Prior to that, I was probably a pushback when it came to technology, and kind of scoffing about it. But I saw how really important it was. And then left that company and went out and did my own consulting work, because again, it's technology, not only the technology, but it's the processes behind that technology. And so started doing some consulting on, combining those two, integrating process with good technology. And then I was approached by Kevin Kehoe and Mark Tipton to come join them at Aspire Software, and I went to work for them, and we built the biggest and best software out there for the landscape industry, with a lot of support from landscapers that helped us understand their needs and how we could build this outright. And it's been a great experience to be a part of something like that, because again, I knew how important it was to this industry, and how it's really a game changer between companies that are struggling to make a profit, and companies that are able to run a company with the 15 to 20% profit margin. And so I did that with the gang for 10 years and just recently left Aspire Software and went back out on my own because I love being with people. I love being a part of this industry and mixing it up with all these great landscape companies. And I'm back to doing what I was doing in the past, kind of helping companies understand the importance of technology and software. And again, not only that piece of it, but how important it is for business processes, right? Because if you don't have good business processes in place, the software just becomes basically a paperweight sitting there on your desk, and it's not doing any good. So that's kind of my career in a nutshell. And I'm going to be continuing to work with other companies in technology and working with landscapers as they grow their business, either through acquisition or organic growth. And that's my whole goal is to just continue to help change this industry and improve this industry.
No, that's great. And, I have the similar feeling in terms of it's nice, when you've had some success and be able to give back to the industry that's been good to you. I think, the industry is always improving. And I think with technology and just some of the changes that have happened over the last, 5 years or so, it's just good to see it keeps evolving. When you look back at obviously all the different experience you've had, either selling or being part of software or just being involved in the business at all, I mean, how do you feel as though the industry is at these days, just how it has evolved, especially when you look at some of the acquisitions, the M&A market?
Yeah, it's right now that that M&A piece is really a big thing, and I think what has been great to kind of push that along is the fact that we've become a profitable industry. I think over the years, again, without technology, what it's been difficult to do is understand good job costing, understand where your company was at. You could look at financials, but you could never really understand, right, where were we doing bad, what was going wrong. And I think that was the struggle for many years in the industry, was not being able to understand kind of how you were performing, right? I could see my financials, look at it and say, okay, I made a 5% net profit this year. Is that good, bad? How do I change it from a 5% to a 10%? That was something that people really never understood because they weren't capturing good data. And so I think that's been an important part of what's happening now with this, with the big acquisitions that are happening out there with the different companies, is that companies are able to be more profitable. They're seeing a better bottom line. They're seeing a better EBITDA number, which is, again, making them more attractive to equity companies. After all, we are a subscription service industry, and that's what equity companies love, right? They love to look at companies that are, driving some sort of regular recurring revenue, and that's the model of maintenance in this industry. And so, again, if we weren't showing good, strong, solid numbers on the bottom line, I don't think that equity would be in this space as strong as they are today. But because of technology, I think it's improved what we're doing. It's helped us understand how to set our pricing better, how to improve our productivity, and how to just become a better, successful company.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that it's dramatically, professionalism is the wrong word, because I think the industry has always been professional, but I think it's improved or dramatically increased people being more business savvy in terms of looking at the job costing and just being able to know your numbers a little bit more. So I think it's accelerated that dramatically. I couldn't tell you how long, maybe it's 5, 7, 10 years or so, but I mean, just to see people talking about more the numbers, their KPI, what the metrics, the dashboards, I mean, all that stuff is really exciting to hear. Now, obviously that then switches to, the technology piece, I mean, do you feel as though people are now beginning to embrace technology more, and that could even expand into things like robotics and gathering data and using data, not just from like an ERP type system, but also, I suppose, GPS, and some of the robotic wars are generating data. I mean, data must be almost like either a friend right now, or it's just confusing the heck out of people.
Yeah, I think BI, is becoming a part of the everyday world, right? Information, and then what do we do with that data? It's great to get data, but the key to it is, what do I do with that information, right? And that goes back to, a software system isn't necessarily going to do that, right? It's not going to tell you where you need to improve. But the data is what's critical, right? If I don't have the data, I can't look at how can I improve. And typically I'm either going to improve as my account managers, they're going to sell better, they're going to sell at better prices, they're going to understand where they need to sell as far as margins are concerned, or I'm going to go out to the field and I'm going to teach people how to be more efficient in the field, right? So those two areas. But again, without the data, I don't know where I need to go and make my improvements. I mean, you mentioned, when I first went out and I first started doing when I had my other consulting business 10, 12 years ago, it was a totally different world. It was people were barely embracing technology in this industry. Even today, it's a bit of a struggle to get people to understand how important technology is. And again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big ERP system, but it is something you need to get into to softwares and technology that produces data for you. And again, GPS is one of those things. Robotic mowers, just productivity of those mowers, right? How do your utilization of that equipment, right? Equipment's one of our biggest, expenses in this industry, besides the labor. And it's, if I don't understand how well I'm utilizing that equipment either, right? Then I'm not being profitable, right? Maybe I have too many mowers sitting around, not being utilized properly, right? Too much iron sitting out in the air, too many trucks, those types of things. And so there's software that's coming that's going to do a better job of tracking all of those things. We know that California is going with all electric stuff, and there's companies out there that are making moves in those directions, and that's going to be very expensive initially, but understanding how you're utilizing those pieces of equipment is going to be very important. So I think the industry is still slow to take on technology. I think companies that, and this is no offense to old timers, because Robert and I are both old timers in the industry. Okay, so I'm insulting ourselves, but sometimes companies, because they are great companies, right? They've had people that have worked at those companies for 30 and 40 years, which tells me that this is a great company, right? Great culture. But now they want to introduce technology, and of course the first people to push back on that is us old timers, right? We're like, what do we need that for? We've been successful for
we've done it for years,
30 years. Why should we change what we're doing, right? But if you look at the environment today, things change almost weekly, especially in the technology space. And again, if the industry is not keeping up with that, right, we're just going to fall further and further behind. And I think we were very, very far behind 10 years ago. I think we're doing better. And I think there's a lot of technology entering this space. I think technology is seeing that, okay, there's a void here. And I think they're coming in and going, hey, we have to help fill that void, which is only going to benefit the industry in the long run.
No, 100%. And, that's actually a good segue into, when we talk about, labor, if we talk about trying to, staff up our companies, I think that's always been a struggle for our industry. And it's got a certain stigma around it. And, I know I can hear people in the back of my head complaining about millennials, Gen Z, work ethics, all that type of stuff. But, when you start looking at technology, you look at the type of person that really embraces that. I mean, it's typically that age group that will embrace that. So, I mean, is there an opportunity for, companies to bring on things like CTO or chief technology officer or some type of people in that age group that they're not intimidated by the software, the data, and they can somehow pull it all together. Because I even look at things like Chat GDP, all these different things that it just seems to be accelerated so quickly, and it can really spin some of these old timers through a loop.
Yeah, and again, it's not that, not to insult the old timers all through this call, but again, we need to think about, right, what's the next generation of this industry, right? Because and it is, right, these and they're, I disagree with, because a lot of people say they don't, the young people don't have a good work ethic. They have a great work ethic, but if you're providing them the right tools, and those tools are technology, right? Because everyone's growing up with a cell phone in their mouth instead of the silver spoon, and so it's they want to go work in a world where technology is a part of that, because they understand how effective technology can be in what they're doing, right? And that isn't a lazy or a bad work ethic. It's just a different mindset, right? It's a different way of looking at things, and I think that's important. I've been working with universities it's interesting how unfortunately the attendance at universities in the horticulture programs across the nation have been coming down. And I think, quite frankly, I think one of those reasons is that they're still teaching with spreadsheets and Word documents, and they're not bringing technology into that space either. And so what I've been working on is introducing software into these universities to help them again introduce and hopefully draw more kids in and say, hey, look, this isn't just about digging holes and sitting on lawnmowers. This is about utilizing technology and understanding how that technology can help a company succeed. You mentioned this idea of a person, right, in this role. I had a company that the young gentleman was, I believe he went to BYU in Provo. He got a job after he graduated from college at a company in Chicago, relatively good sized company in Chicago. And what they hired him to be is basically their system administrator, their CTO. I forget the role or the title that they gave him, but really what they saw was, and he had actually been exposed to Aspire software and some other softwares. And this company was introducing Aspire to their company. And so what he was going to help do is implement that software and help people to utilize the software. And also, because that's not the only software that companies use, he was going to learn, young people learn software so quickly, right? They're going to learn the new softwares, whether it's GPS and other pieces of software, and bring those into the company and help them become more effective and more successful by using that software. So I think there's, that traditional role of these kids coming out of college may not be, right, an account manager or production manager, or one of those roles, right? Think outside the box, where else can these young kids fit into the landscape, so to speak, that is going to help your business be more successful. And Mike Mayberry and I have talked about that for years, about the last 3-4 years, about how companies need to understand that a technology person is now a key role within a company, right? That was never thought of.
No, that wasn't
right?
even on the radar before.
No, even today it's barely on the radar.
Right.
But it's there, and people in companies, especially these companies that are growing through acquisition, need to bring a person on. They need to have a team of people responsible for their technology within their company.
No, 100%. And it's great that you're working with colleges and you're helping introduce software to colleges. But I think, and this is something I think which NLP have been trying to wrap their arms around us with as well, is how do you then educate the parents to help encourage those kids to come to college? Because again, go back to the stigma, and I don't think landscape companies do a good job of this at you. When you look at their websites or their marketing material, I think if there was more, tech focused, then that might help a little bit. But any thoughts on how it's such a big topic right there.
Yeah, great question, because Kevin Kehoe and I used to that was kind of the topic of how do we bring more people into these programs in school, because I'm a young 18-year-old graduating from high school, and I go to mom and dad and I say, look, I'm going to go to BYU Provo for their HORT program, and they're looking at me cross-eyed and they're going, I'm not going to spend $150,000 for you to learn how to plant plants or ride on a lawnmower all day, right? So that's their mindset, right? So the idea is, and again, they think, okay, how much money can he really make doing that job? The reality of it is, I think the introduction of technology and helping parents understand that technology is a part of the curriculum, technology also comes with this kind of idea that there's going to be more money involved in that. And again, I think what Kevin Kehoe and I were driving was this idea of the $100,000 account manager, $100,000 production manager, and even a technology person, right? A technology person within an organization should make $80,000 to $100,000. If I introduce technology and people utilize that technology properly, there's no reason why we shouldn't be paying them that kind of money, because they're bringing in more sales, they're more efficient out in the field, they're all of these positive things that are driving the bottom line. So why not pay that money back to them, right? So now if a parent is understanding that their kid's going to graduate from college and he could potentially have a six-figure job within a couple of years, right? They're going to be going, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do I need to sign to get you into that HORT program? And so I think that's a big part of it. I think it all kind of folds together, but again, we still need to continue to work on how do we improve it as an industry as a whole. How do we continue to improve that image of this industry, and to say, look, we're not just grass cutters and hole diggers. We're businessmen and women, and we're out there making a difference, in the world.
No, 100%. And that's just obviously it's a journey to get there. I think if messaging like this and other programs and NLP programs, so I think it's going to get there eventually. But I think all we can do is just trying to sit in that stool and voice our opinions. So
yeah, exactly. Just be out there, just pushing the envelope, trying to think outside the box. Robotics is right around the corner, drones are right around the corner, utilizing, I mentioned equipment utilization software. There's so many exciting things going on in this industry that are not too far in the future. And I think there are companies that I talk to and deal with that have already entered into the robotics space. And these aren't just small companies, mom and pop companies. These are big companies that understand that there's a need for robotics in this industry, right? We don't need to always have people out there. This isn't to say we're going to remove jobs from the industry. This is to say that we're going to change job titles within this industry, right? We're still going to need as many people in the industry, but we're just going to introduce robotics into it and have people tracking those robots and making sure that everything is being effective and efficient with those. And so it's just a different mindset again.
Yeah, absolutely, and pay them really well as well.
Right.
I mean, because then through technology they could, make really profitable companies, and in turn you pay that money back to find good employees, and then maybe they're able to manage bigger books of business through the technology they have at hand. Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I think that's really powerful. So what do you? We're getting close to the end here, but what was your, I suppose, biggest piece of advice for small, $3, $5, $7 million company who's still trying to find their way, trying to figure out how do I scale up to 10, 15, 20 million through either people, processes?
Yeah, great question, because again, there's so many, there's always a ton of companies entering into this industry every year, and many of them fail. Some of them are lifestyle businesses, people just trying to support their family. Maybe they lost their job and they're out cutting grass. But there are so many, especially these younger generation people that are entrepreneurs that want to be the next Yellowstone or Landcare or Heartland or one of these larger companies, and they're trying to figure out how to do that. The biggest advice I can give is you have to embrace technology, even at the lower level, even if you bring in a smaller system to help you run your company so that you can get data, right? The important piece is data. I need data to be able to grow and scale my company, to understand where I'm doing poorly, where I need help, how I can scale. Because again, technology helps you scale. We've proven that with Aspire. These companies that are using our system are growing either through acquisition or organic growth. And to be able to do that, they need to understand how to create efficiencies. I was talking with a company that's doing just that just the other day, and their CFO that I was talking to said since they've introduced Aspire, they've done a number of acquisitions, and they've only added one person to their accounting team and a couple people to their admin team. And they said, look, if we wouldn't have had this software in place, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So
wow.
Even getting a smaller software in place to learn the technology, to bring the young people in and say, we have technology. But again, you mentioned it, right? What I've been doing is helping them build the processes. So you need processes and technology. The two go hand in hand. You have to make sure that you're doing one alongside the other, because the technology is only a tool. So you have to teach people how to properly operate that tool in order to be very effective and efficient at their jobs. And in doing so, right, they're going to become successful. You're going to be able to scale and grow and become one of those companies that maybe that the next equity player is going to look at and go, wow, look at that company. Let's write them a check for $10 million to buy their company. So, I wish I had known then what I know now, because back when I was growing the businesses that I was at, I never even thought about, how can we sell this business? We were very successful, but it wasn't a mindset of ours. But that's the mindset today, right? How do I grow, not to necessarily get out of the industry, but to join a partner in the industry that is going to again help you scale and grow, because they've figured it out as an acquisition company, They
Yep.
figured it out, and they're out there buying and building something really great.
I've even seen some scenarios where, a larger company has bought a smaller one that has been really tech savvy, but then the actual owner of that business, the smaller one, has then gone on, because of being so progressive and open to technology, they've actually gone on with all their ideas and adopted them company-wide in a much larger company. So pretty interesting.
I'm seeing it every day almost.
Yeah, it's cool stuff. Cool
Yep.
stuff. Well, Bryan, how do people get hold of you? I mean, obviously you've got so much knowledge and so much passion there. How do people get hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to reach me is just through email. I don't have a website because I know so many people in the industry. I didn't think I needed a website. So you're welcome to email me questions. I love helping people. I love sharing my knowledge of this industry. My email address is BE Mours, MOURS, my last name, at outlook.com. You're welcome to give me a jingle, give me a call at 262-227-2045. That's my cell number. Like I said, a lot of people I work with in this industry, I just love helping them, just giving them ideas. That's Kevin Kehoe and I, we had a passion to change the industry when we started Aspire, and I think we've done a great job at that. And I'm trying to continue that legacy of Kevin Kehoe's since he passed last year, and take that legacy on into the future and help mentor younger people so that they can take it on one day away from me.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for your time today. Thanks for everything you've done for the industry. Definitely miss Kevin. I look forward to future conversations with you, Bryan. So thank you again for your time today.
All right. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate being here. Thanks.
Okay. Cheers. Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clinkenbeard, and we'd love to get you and your friends to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe through the various podcast channels, or visit thecommerciallandscaper.com or brucewilsoncompany.com and check out some more information there. Anyway, hopefully you all have a pure dead brilliant day. Cheers, everyone.